I think LMI has been crucial in where our state is going.
This work resonates with people, and watching LMI grow, it tells me that we're really on to something.
Addressing that stress is going to be key to ensuring that our kids have the academic success that we would like for them to have. I'm very happy to speak for a few minutes. And as we are thinking about how do we support our kids, how do we think about what happens over the summer and beyond as we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the things that we understand is that this pandemic has been a very stressful time for kids, parents, and educators alike. And one of the things that we understand about the science of stress and how it affects our brains and bodies is that one of the biggest things that it affects is our executive function and the ability to learn and absorb information. And so what the research tells us is that addressing that stress is going to be key coming out of the pandemic to ensuring that our kids have the academic success and the opportunity at achieving learning gains that we would like for them to have. So how do we do that, right? Well, a couple of things that I will take from the Surgeon General's stress busting playbook that we put out at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, but is equally true as we're emerging from the pandemic. Things like getting regular exercise helps to metabolize stress hormones and improve our functioning. Things like spending time in nature are critical to help to regulate our stress response. But the most important thing is our safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments. That's that social emotional work that we do that is healing and helps to improve not only kids' health and development, but also our own as well. And so this is one of the things, some of the things that I'm most proud of that we see in the governor's proposed budget is we see substantial investments in supporting that emotional and mental health well-being, which we know the science shows us is the foundations for learning. So what we see is an investment of $3 billion to convert thousands of school sites into full service community schools with wraparound mental health, social and family services to create the kind of complete campus that every parent would want for their child. I personally am very, very proud and excited about the proposed $4 billion investment over 5 years to transform the youth behavioral health and mental health for children and youth, right? So that we can do what the science shows, which is early detection, early intervention, and evidence-based treatment. And that includes investments in school-based mental health resources and training educators how to recognize which students are experiencing signs of excessive stress, trauma, or toxic stress. We also see over $1 billion to improve staff to student ratios, right? Because if we are not giving our educators the opportunity to make that connection, to have a reasonable classroom size, right? That's absolutely critical in being able to support our kids and by supporting our educators through this next critical transition. And so I just want to recognize that while we are all thrilled that the pandemic is abating, that getting back to school is a source of stress for many kids and families, and no doubt for educators as well. So applying these stress busting strategies, many of which were outlined in the California Surgeon General's report that we put out in December called Roadmap for Resilience. And the last thing that I want to add is that while the pandemic has been an incredible stressor for all of us, for some kids, they experience really significant trauma and hardship. And I want to offer a couple of resources. One, a new resource called numberstory.org to help us understand more about adverse childhood experiences, toxic stress, and what we can do for ourselves, for the kids in our lives, to be able to address the stress response and move towards healing.